So this is our last stretch of our summit. Yeah. Enjoy it. We have great speakers lined up. If I can ask everyone to please come to the front, make your way here. We will begin our program in 1 minute. I would like to call upon Honorable everyone, please move forward. Frank, if you guys would just come line up here. Tino, Jewel. I'm gonna call everyone by name, so please move forward. Who is he? Sandy. Sandy. Can you go let him know At this time, while we wait for Honorable Governor to move to the front, I'd like to acknowledge and thank all of our sponsors. We have CEO Falelimu Chuck Leotsa of Azteca, Reverend Papali'i Lauli'i of Paramount Builders, Mr. Sam Lay Sam of Jace General Merchandising, Mr. Tony Tongiai and Yese Tongiai of Continental Transport Corporation, and we have CEO Justin Tuyasopo, and we also have LD Construction and my ever beautiful sister Ella Gurr of PPTC. Thank you very much for sponsoring our event. Honorable Governor. If you would like to do the honors and accompany Miss Tammy Littrell up here. She's sitting right here. Here. We recovered well from a great evening last night. Thank you all for bringing your great spirit, your dancing moves. We really loved watching everybody had a great time last night. Thank you very much. Yes, Frank. Well, welcome back everyone to the final phase of our program of the second annual Disaster Resilience Summit for America Samoa, themed Strengthening Disaster Resilience in Our Community. We have great speakers lined up, and our first contestant, our first speaker is Ms. Heather Kirkering, who is the Acting Deputy Director and Science Coordinator of the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, Science for a Changing World. Heather is the Science Coordinator for the Pacific Islands Climate Adaptation Science Center, one of the 9 regional centers that form the National Regional Climate Adaptation Science Network. Ms. Kirkering also served as a director of the Pacific Islands Ocean Observing System at the UH Manoa. Ms. Heather, give her a great big hand. Thank you.
everything just transitioned, so my presentation is not ready yet to show.
You got it. You got it.
Okay, she wants me to sing a song. Well, first, I'll introduce myself, Heather Kirkering. Some of the bio is actually changed a little bit. I'm the Deputy Director for the Pacific Islands Climate Adaptation Science Center, which is a part of the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, which sits under the Department of Interior. So we do network a lot through the Department of Interior, but one thing that's unique about the program is it's a consortium with university partners. So our offices are physically in Hawaii with the University of Hawaii system, but also includes the University of Guam and then partners throughout the Pacific. So it's really great to be here today. Every day that it's only the third day, but almost every session I've wanted to change my talk because I'm learning something new every time, or I see something that I really want to highlight. And what we do within PICASC is we are a federal agency, the consortium agency, but we do solicit funds. We do solicit proposals. So we have a handful of projects that I was going to highlight specifically for American Samoa that we have supported through grant awards. And I'm hoping that that'll come on soon so you can see them. And now I could sing a song, I guess. Then we'll just skip over the first few slides if they come up. And one of the things with the Climate Adaptation Science Centers is there are 9 across the nation of the U.S., and so we're just one. But we all are working together to really encourage co-production of applicable science. So trying to match researchers and scientists with community members, our local organizations, and government agencies to create science and do research for things that people can use for decision making, which I think are a lot of key buzzwords a lot of different groups are using. So one of the things I really realized today and even this week and even this morning is the just consistent need to stay collaborative and share with each other what we're working on. PICASC, the name of my group, certainly doesn't want to come in and try to create something that might already exist or confuse anybody with new tools. But I know that there are similar efforts going on for projects working in the face of climate adaptation. So just let me see if there No, it's not. Okay. No, she told me to email it. Okay. It's hard to describe the project without any visual. Yeah, I just did. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry, wasn't planning on not having them. So let me see what I can do real quick to at least kind of go through it. One of the things that we've been working on that actually Kelly Tagarino the other day introduced was something called the American Samoa Sea Level Rise Viewer. And the American Samoa Sea Level Rise Viewer was funded through the PICASC program. And we selected that award because it was presented as a need that was identified through networking with the community here, and that was a more high-resolution tool that mirrored something that was built in the Hawaii Sea Level Rise Viewer. And one of the things that it takes into consideration is the issue of subsidence. So I realized that tomorrow is actually your anniversary of the 2009 tsunami, and I am flying home tonight, but I do wish I could be here tomorrow to like honor that with you. And one of the things in developing this tool and recognizing was that none of the projections for sea level rise to date had included the fact that there are many parts of the island that are sinking due to subsidence. And you can see really since that event, the difference in like the sea level rising and the elevation going down. And so you do have a more marked sea level rise here than some of the other Pacific islands because of that. And so it's unique that the tool takes that into account and will incorporate new digital elevation models that we're expecting to arrive this year. So that will all be in there. And then I even heard this morning from some of the people at the training workshop, I think it was with the EPA, that the tool will be really helpful in looking at shoreline protection plans. Kelly's not here today. She wasn't able to present it either due to technical difficulties during her talk. So maybe it's cursed, but she's out on other islands right now with some of the University of Hawaii colleagues looking at that. One other thing, if you guys may know Chris Schuler. So Chris Schuler, I think, did a lot of work in American Samoa, but is currently also now a professor at University of Hawaii. And he is leading with a few other organizations here something called the American Samoa Data Portal. And so that was also brought to our table through a funding effort, a funding solicitation to help support the various data sets that are out there that have anything to do with environment and climate that may be siloed or maybe don't have the correct the correct metadata or anything behind it really so that you can pull those things together. There were different efforts, one through SPREP, one through the Department of Commerce here, and they're really working hard to build that together into a tool and make sure that you can access all those different materials in one place. So I did have a QR code that had been out this week that I won't share, where you could give feedback to that portal. And we hope that you will, because that's a work in progress, as is the Sea Level Rise viewer tool. So those are out there. One other thing that I work with here in American Samoa is something called the Regional Invasive Species and Climate Change Group. It's actually a Pacific-wide group, so the Pacific Islands RISC is what it's called, RISCC. And we do have DJ here that's with American Samoa Community College and others that have been participatory on developing that community of practice across the islands. And we've really tried to bring together a network of people focused on that nexus of invasives and climate. And we've seen a lot of it recently, and you have here in American Samoa too, but what comes to mind is the typhoon in Guam, where even with all the precautions and everything else that they tried to take into consideration, the amount of green waste that got moved around, whether by the storm or in cleanup, just happened to move coconut rhinoceros beetle into places that it hadn't been before the storm. And and even here with like the little fire ant that's now here, when you have sediment or runoff or precipitation, you have it going down into you have things, you are helping to move little fire ants into places that it wasn't before. And so there's a lot of different examples of the way climate can change either the habitat where as an invasive species can move. Even on Hawaii, you have the mosquitoes moving up into habitats that they weren't able to move up into before because of temperature changes, and then give avian malaria to some of our last endemic birds. And so these are concerns that we're sharing information about across this community of practice that we have. One thing that's been mentioned, and I really appreciate it, because it's hard to know how far-reaching sometimes the events like the Maui wildfire go. I mean, you see it on the national news, but I really see awareness of it here, and from the climate perspective, and not to take away from any of the human toll, is there a clicker? What? Oh, okay. Well, now I'm all over the place. but is one of the things that really made Lahaina and a lot of parts of Hawaii and even Maui more fire prone were invasive grasses and are invasive grasses. That's not news. It just happened to be that the researchers and people working on trying to announce that there are invasive grasses that are more fire prone and due to different changing conditions and climate can create an environment where they move away the native grasses and they take over. And so then you have these drought conditions with invasive species or grasses that are more fire prone. And then winds, of course, there were winds from a southern hurricane that was happening at the same time. So, you might have different environmental conditions, but altogether, of course, I'm only talking about the environmental component of this, but really can create an environment for future storms. And so that's just something to take into consideration here. Sorry with that, I've kind of lost track of time, but this image right here is the area that the pie cask actually works in. We have projects all over the area, and I mentioned a few of ours here. Go ahead and one of the things I was noticing about being here is that a lot of folks work on projects that we help to fund and support or collaborate with, but you don't know it. So we're kind of like behind the scenes, so I wanted to make you aware that this isn't even all the logos, but if you're one of these logos, you've actually participated in or helped with a project that we've supported. Okay, go ahead. And these are some of the tools, and I'd already mentioned some of them, but yeah, go ahead and click next. The issue about sea level rise and oh, thank you. That'll be easier. Okay. This was an issue I was noting about sea level rise and subsidence. I just think this graph is really cool to watch. The red is kind of like the land elevation, and the blue is the water. And the earthquake is what that is. When you guys experienced that in 2009, so you can see that sort of shock. And so following the earthquake, the relative sea levels rose 9.8 inches in just 11 years. And before that, it had taken over 100 years to do that. So it's really worth considering and planning tools. This was the sea level rise viewer that was was launched this week. And again, we are kind of waiting for the new DEM, the digital elevation models, to improve it. I want to note that it doesn't include the effects of waves or flooding, but will in the future. I'm sorry if you can't see that, but. One other sea level rise related research that we're doing is helping to look at the future of coastal flooding to park services, to parks and refuges across the Pacific, and here at the National Park of American Samoa. So this is being led by a PI at USGS, but in collaboration with folks here, where it does include the storm frequency at annual 20 and 100-year events, along with projected sea level rise, and what its impact is in national parks. And then the deliverables will be like a visual tool, but also some pamphlets they're working on with the park specifically to see what the impacts are. One good thing that came out of that, though, it's not fully done, is even though they looked at several, 10 different parks and refuges around the Pacific and American Samoa, it doesn't seem like the park is actually going to be impacted too badly from those. So stay tuned, more to come on that. One other thing we've worked on is coral reef resilience. This was a project for Guam and American Samoa. Where can resilience-based management strategies be appropriate for coral reefs? And I did learn today that this does need more iteration. So I'm really happy to come and get your feedback and think about how we can improve this in the future. But again, information was gathered from different partners here to project where they developed a GIS layer showing the spatial patterns and environmental favorability and resilient coral reefs that hopefully managers could use to look at ecologically suitable and resilience-based management strategies. And that's out there, that's live. Again, I'm really open to continuing that conversation with you, and it's hosted on the Pacific Islands Integrated Ocean Observing System website. This was the climate data portal. I just go briefly through it. All these different groups are contributing to that. I'm going to skip through because I talked about it already, and I don't know what kind of time I have, but anyway, it's pulling together all these different pieces and trying to bridge the gaps and make the data more interoperable for everybody to access for decision making. This, I can have the QR code where I sit if you want to ever come and use your phone to get it and try and look at the tool and provide feedback. This won't be your only chance, so you can do it later. I mentioned the Regional Invasive Species and Climate Change Group. Sorry, these slides aren't totally working, but really our goal is to foster this community of practice among really different people all over. And what we've done is conduct needs assessments about what managers need to really understand that nexus, host a webinar series for information sharing, do research summaries that we've been requested to do, which really tease out the take-home messages from publications for people to use, and we've had a lot of interactive workshops. So, and again, we have representation from American Samoa on that. And this is where goals. Invasive plants caused the fire. Invasive grass made them worse and more devastating. And there are a number of groups across the Pacific Fire Exchange, the Drought Knowledge Exchange, wildfire management organizations that we help to support to get that out. A couple other programs we have, which was really exciting to showcase yesterday and this morning, were with education. We have a climate adaptation education hub, which pulls together a lot of materials that you can use outside of the classroom, but also in, including lesson plans that were developed in a workshop we held just this past summer, where we had 2 teachers from American Samoa actually come to the University of Hawaii in partnership with the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, because we were focused on kind of more ocean-related things at that particular conference. But we paid for teachers to come, so 2 of the teachers from here were covered to participate for a week, where we shared climate data and developed curriculum together. And that was exciting. We probably won't have one next summer, but maybe try to have one every other year. So you can think about that, and some of the teachers I spoke with yesterday and this morning were pretty excited for that opportunity. And there are other opportunities for graduates or students to join. We have the Education Hub, which I just mentioned, also something called the Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship, which is also a paid 10-week program in the summer that undergraduates can apply to work with some of the research scientists, a Graduate Scholars Program, and another thing through the University of Guam called the Climate Adaptation Resource Management Program, the CARM, where even if you're already in a professional environment but you still need training and education, we can help to provide that. So I think, sorry this is kind of messy without having the slides, but my take-home message really is I'm not telling you what the climate issues are, because you've already told me all week and you know it. So really, just for what PICASC is, we're really focused on understanding what those are and how to work with communities better to make sure that we can bring or supply research we need, but also make sure that what you want to give is elevated into whatever science is happening or whatever tools are being developed. And I hear it from you here, and I hear it all the time, and I know we all need help doing it, which is like making sure to integrate any of the knowledge that you hold here that is going to help in your planning. Again, we fund all kinds of things, but every year we do run a solicitation, and every year the money is a little bit different depending on what we're given. But we solicit proposals. They usually have 4 or 5 science themes, and then we select a handful of them every fiscal year to support. So please tell me what your ideas are, and we can work through them, and I've picked up a bunch while I'm here. So thanks for being flexible through that tech issue, but I appreciate it, and please come find me if you have anything that you would like to share. Thank you.
Wow, we have a lot of resources available, so hook up with Heather, talk to her. There's a lot of things that she can assist American Samoa with. At this time, I'd like to call upon Deputy Director Sawini Ta'ala. Let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Ta'ala. Ta'ala is Deputy Director of Department of Agriculture. He's here on behalf of his director.
Thank you, Lisa, for the opportunity given to me to speak on behalf of the Department of Agriculture. Honorable Governor Talawenga Ali and Ms. Tammy Littrell, welcome, and distinguished guests, Talo Falava. I prepared like 15 slides for this presentation. However, when I look around the room, I can see all of you look so tired. So I'll just cut it in 5 slides. I want to make sure that you all awaken as I was. By the way, I am an educator by profession for close to 25 years. But since I was appointed by the governor and the lieutenant governor administrations to be the deputy director of agriculture, so here I am, looking like a farmer. So bear with me when I speak like a farmer. The theme for today's, for this week summit says strengthening disaster resilience in our community. We tried our best as farmers to come up with Psalm 1 translations of the theme. So this is our agriculture translations for the theme. Whaamalosia o le mau whetūnai I taimi o whaalawelawe I o tātou a ai manu. I just want to speak briefly about the term mau whetūnai. I le ngangana sa moa. O le upule ta ul whaperatani is a compound word. Rono winga e lua upo lo whawhau e le upulea. O le upu mau. E le o le mau voi le pipi. It's not about holding a position. It's about having a lot of thoughts, resourceful of thoughts and ideas, so that you can make up decisions. So that's mau. E oe ngangana, e oe manatu. O na whetūtu na I ei lea, pe tō whawheta lai, e tali atu I teimi o whalawe whapose. So that's why we come up with this word, mau whetūnai. Ia whamarurua o tō whionga, o sio mātou waiwainga lena. When we talked about food security, we don't want to reinvent the wheel in how to address the issue of food security. We have a common definitions to address the food security issue. We need to address 4 common pillars. And those 4 pillars of food security includes availability. O le maua ina lea po le awanoa e maua ai ia mea ai mo le fonga tau mawha so o tangata. Not just only a particular group of people. This is for all of us. If you are living in American Samoa, food should be available to you. And the second pillar of food security is sustainability. We need to be stable in providing foods for our community and everyone. Lono winga e tauna mautu. E le tau o na alu alfa pea o le lava, e te tau o na iei se plan mautu. And the third pillar is accessibility. Te tau o na maua e tangata umala wanoa e alu e pe maua se me ai mo fonga tau mawha. And the last pillar is utilization, o lona whaongaina. So, what is food security? Let me try to read the definitions that was drafted by all the farmers and all of us who are working with the Department of Agriculture. Food security is having an uninterrupted, safe and sufficient supply of locally grown produce of meat, that includes the sea meat and the land meat, all kinds of meat, and crop production. That is our definitions. I know some people will come up with their own, but we try to concentrate on the agriculture's definitions of food security. Walt Disney said something about this. It reads, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. After all these discussions, it's going to be useless if we don't implement it right away or immediately or start working on in executing our plan. So the agriculture, we were given, I believe all the department and agencies were given 5 questions to answer. So we have already answered our questions, so bear with me when I try to reread it, so you can remember it, or if you don't get, that's okay, but at least I'm doing my part. I'm going to read it out to you. Currently, the Department of Agriculture has about 8 active federal grant awards of small-scale projects for specialty crops, 8 grants. 3 for micro grants, 3 grants for the Department of Interior grant for the soil and residual testing project, and 1 project for the cooperative agreement for $2 million with the USDA Resilient Food System Infrastructure, and 1 forthcoming livestock massive project in Manuatele for livestock farming, cattle, piggery, and poultry. For your information, that's why our director, Solia Multini, is not here with us. He's still working at this time as I'm talking. He's out at the field trying to settle our projects at Manua to make sure that we address the issue of food security for Manua, Tutuila, Aunu'u, and what's the other island, Lisa? And Swainside. Okay, got it. So 5 questions. Here is the answer for the first question. What are the available resources that your department have to assist with our territorial climate resilient plan? So here's the agriculture answer to the question. For the absorption part, for the farmland protection, protecting our workable agricultural land for development so farmers can provide our territorial needs into the future concerning ending hunger concept within the territory and being resilient in the face of supply shortage and the likelihood of starvation to follow. For the local farmer engagement, our department is prepared to conduct a series of workshops with its federal small-scale project and the USDA RFSI projects for farmers' engagement in providing answers to create viable solutions addressing major challenges facing agriculture and the importance of agriculture within the territory. What about the impact assessment? DOA has determined 3 major impacts of agriculture sustainability within the territory. 1, the weather. Tropical climates prevail with temperatures in the high of 70 degrees or low 90s with high humidity. Rain showers are frequent, basically hot, humid, and rainy throughout the year. Flooding. With the rain showers throughout the year, this likely creates the buildup of many streams in our rock location, causing ponds, streams to overflow with mountain tops to slide down the slope with the rain showers. Lack of resources and supply for farmers. Aside the DOA, the territorial farmers experience shortage in supplies and resources inclusive in pig feed, chicken feed, fertilization, pesticides, and physical and financial hardship of obtaining necessary farming tools. With the federal funding DOA has received to administer its project, it allows the opportunity for DOA to provide technical assistance for the local farmers as well as the opportunity to be persistent with its efforts to be more inclusive with the agriculture community for sustainability efforts, avoiding interruption with farmers' farming activities to produce and raise livestock with the territory. So last but not least, this is our implementation plan. The DOA envisions this workshop as great opportunities for farmers to work together to incorporate results from the impact assessment into prioritization of farmland on the ground project and updated management techniques that increase agriculture's resilience and viability. For many years, agriculture, being the most neglected sector, has been physically present now inside the circle of farmers, will circulate an importance to farmers within the agriculture community, that they are a priority in our livelihood as a whole. Their work is just as important as that of any other agency with the American Samoa. We extend our sincere appreciations to the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and the Cabinet, and all the agencies and department for assisting us in some of our projects that we are currently trying to finish up. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll come up with the end results of our ongoing projects to address the issue of food security, which is a very most important part of our resilience workshop today. And before I sit down, I would like to remind all of us again, food security requires collective efforts from all of us. And thank you very much for my time.
And that is how important food security is to our territory. Everything, we are a containerized community, and everything is imported here. So that's why it's important that we hear from agriculture. And for that reason, I am very happy with our next speaker, who will also be talking about the food security. He is Mr. Aufai Apulu Ropeti Areta. He is the Director of Agriculture, Community and Natural Resources, ACNR, Division at the Land Grant Program at the American Samoa Community College. Prior to this position, Aufai served as the ACC-ACNR Associate Director in various extension capacities for more than 25 years. Aufai received his Master's of Agriculture degree in Agriculture Extension Education from Colorado State University. Let's give a great big round of applause for Mr. Aufai.
Ole ale le paia fa tiu besam silia. Be ole upu e fai vole ale ainga il tai. Le papa ao male maluta we. Le fio le fionga i le kovana le tu mau le malo Amerika Samoa nei mai tau. Talenga ia talawenga. Ele asaro vale le ale. Le mamalu o le malu ai mai se le fai ngā luenga le tua ua iai le langona ua maea ona pae ma tapena le fonga le aso sunga il fatonu ia lisa tuato a ole anga ilo se whaamitalanga i le whaamoe ona o le fia whaasauina o le taimi. The American Samoa Community College Agriculture, Community and Natural Resources Division, or popularly known as the Land Grant Program, was tasked by the director of ODABM, Director Tuto, to share our roles in assisting with strengthening disaster resilience in American Samoa in reference to food security. Right now, before a disaster strikes, during a disaster, after the disaster recovery, one of the most important basic needs of human is food and water. So food security is very important in building, making sure that American Samoa is a resilient society during disasters. There are many definitions of food security. However, we at Land Grant, we adopted the definition by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations because it's very comprehensive. So food security is defined as, or can be referred to, a condition for all people, everyone, at all times, having both physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and healthy variety of food, satisfying dietary needs and food preferences, while having an active and healthy life in a sustainable manner. I'm going to share a secret with you. The US government, or the United States of America, is considered is the most powerful nation in the world. But besides the military might of the US, one of the hidden reasons why the United States of America is the most powerful nation in the world, because of its ability to make sure that all people at all times have both physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and healthy variety of food, satisfying dietary needs and food preferences while having an active and healthy life in a sustainable manner. O le leina mulmuli na upuna sustainable manner ele fa pe na name tae a ia fa wau pe asa uma. So what is the American Samoa Community College Land Grant Program's role in terms of food security, trying to strengthen the ability of American Samoa, the society, to strengthen disaster resilience during disaster or any time? And our mission reflects our work, and at the same time trying to address the challenges of developing or helping American Samoa to become a resilient community, as on the slides. Our mission is this: